Answer the bell. Now let's go.
Hello and welcome into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yow, joined as always by...
Well, not always.
Well, as most times. Now.
Join now.
Yeah. Hopefully for the rest of the year.
For the foreseeable future, yeah.
It's Mo Patton. And we are all back. Justin in studio with us today, so that's exciting.
That is exciting.
Hope you guys...
Hail.
Exactly. If you didn't get a chance to see the awards show this morning from Main Street Murray, you should go check that out. That's when we're all here in the same building. But glad to be with you guys and looking forward to a great show we've got lined up. We've got Charles Rathbone, who will join us and talk about a big commitment out of his program to Clemson.
Among other things.
Among other things. You know, what does a high school football coach do during the dead period? You got 2 weeks.
I hope he's resting up.
Yeah. So how do you rest? That's the question we'll ask Charles today. We'll also talk with David Cobb of CBS Sports. He'll join us to talk a little Grizzlies. He'll join us to talk a little college football, maybe some college basketball too. Plenty of stuff to get to with him. So whatever we have to do and whatever we can get into, we'll get into. Plenty of great sports news to get to, Mo. But first, how was your trip?
It was nice, man. We went down to Gulfport for a few days. Got out last Friday evening after Wade and I got done. And, you know, it was a little different from Orange Beach, which is pretty much our favorite beach spot when we go down that way. But it was a little crowded and a little expensive this time around. So we sought out alternate spots and landed on Gulfport. It was nice. It was hot, great food. You know, it was good. It was good to get away. It's good to be back.
You know, the heat dome or whatever was brutal the last couple of weeks, and it hasn't gotten any better.
No, it has not. I mean, you and I were riding back from lunch and the thermometer in your car said 100 degrees, which was information I did not need.
You could have gone without that.
Yeah, I really could have. I mean, it's hot is good enough, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But when you start putting numbers on it and there's 3 of them,
it makes it worse. It makes it feel hotter than it may even be. Because they're like, God, it's 100 degrees outside.
It's no bueno. No bueno at all.
It was so hot where we stayed in Gulf Shores. The pool
Was hot.
was hot because it was hot all day long.
Well, the water in the Gulf was, the first couple of days we went, it was pretty warm. We found another spot. We went to a different spot each of the 3 days that we went to the beach. And the third spot, it was a little bit cooler, but it still was tepid, I think was the word Jody used actually. But yeah, so, and we stayed at a little resort area and the pool was not cold either. But again, like you said, when it's that hot, it's hot everywhere.
Yeah. You can't keep a pool cool unless it's inside.
Yeah. So,
At 115 degrees.
and you know, not complaining, just observing. It was still great to get away.
Sure. You know, and you know, we had a good time on our trip and tried to do some fun stuff and got to do some fun stuff. So always fun. But like you said, hopefully Charles is resting up. We've rested up. We've
As much as we're going to.
as much as we can.
Yeah.
So should be a good start. We were talking just a moment ago, 11 days from SEC Media Days.
Goodness gracious.
And that's wild to me. But even more so that, you know, we've got to get ready for SEC Media Days, Mo. I mean, I'm not sure that I'm quite prepared just yet for
I can tell you I'm not.
for all that we've got going on. And we're going to have a big SEC Media Day presence. You'll see Mo, myself, Wade Neely, who those of you who watched the show last weekend when Mo was gone on his cruise will recognize Wade. He's going to be joining us, and we got a lot. We're going to be doing team previews for all 14 teams in the SEC. We'll be doing individual episodes on all of those, talking to players and folks around the programs each and every single day being held right here in Nashville. So make sure that you guys are subscribed and hit that bell, those notifications, because those individual episodes are going to go out, you know, throughout the day. It won't just be, you know,
From 2 to 3:30.
yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
2 to
From
4.
2 to 4.
Yeah, we'll be on 2 to 4 starting that Monday. So
And
every day
from
subsequently.
there, we're permanently going to 2 hours, beginning with SEC Media Days. So pick an extra 30 minutes of us. Could you ask for
I
more?
don't know what else you could want.
No.
So it is going to be fun. So make sure to subscribe and all of that. But we do have a good show. We're going to get into it now. We will get to yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
The Thursday Rundown is brought to you by Titans Flag Football. Have your kids play like the pros this fall season in select locations across Middle Tennessee. Titans Flag Football brings pre-K through 8th graders together to learn football fundamentals and, most importantly, have fun. Sign up for their fall season by visiting www.titansflagfootball.com.
Major League Baseball action yesterday. The Braves down the Guardians 8-1. It was the Astros 6, Rockies 4, Marlins with an interesting 10-9 win over the Cardinals. We'll talk
If you've
about.
not seen the video of that game-winning play, well, stick around.
We're going to watch a lot of videos today, at least 2. The Reds and Nationals. It was a 9-2 win for Cincinnati. The Cubs, a 4-3 winner over the Brew Crew. In minor league baseball action, the Sounds walk it off 15-14 over the Columbus Clippers.
And if you've not seen the video of that one, hey, WNBA action from last night. It was the New York Liberty 99, the Phoenix Mercury 95. We said it on this show before. Phoenix Mercury not very good. Minnesota Lynx with a 90-83 win over the Indiana Fever. The Las Vegas Aces continue to roll, downing the Dallas Wings 89-82. And the Atlanta Dream with a 90-79 win over the Los Angeles Sparks.
Major League Baseball action today in progress right now as we speak. It is the Cincinnati Reds and the Washington Nationals. They're scoreless in the second.
There we go.
Also in progress, Chicago's National League Club has a 1-0 lead in the top of the 4th inning over the Brewers. Cardinals and Marlins tonight at 5:40. Mariners at Houston at 7:10. And minor league action, Charlotte continues their series in Nashville against the Sounds.
No. Columbus.
Columbus, not Charlotte. Columbus Clippers, not
Yes.
Charlotte Knights.
Exactly.
Difference.
Mhm.
Again, in Nashville, it's Columbus at 6:35.
WNBA action tonight. The Storm of Seattle is at the Sun of Connecticut. That's a 6 p.m. tip on Amazon Prime. North of the border, Canadian football. Edmonton is at Saskatchewan. That's an 8 p.m. kickoff on CBS Sports Network. And in NBA Summer League action, the Grizzlies and the Jazz will play at 8 o'clock on ESPN+. Seeing nothing further, that is your rundown.
Top stories brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. And don't forget to go see the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly to get your fresh hand-cut meats or deli meat and 3 during lunch and other fine products. Top story today, Mo, as we learned on Twitter a little bit earlier, Tennessee baseball.
Chase who?
Getting a little better. Yeah, obviously losing Chase Burns, which you guys discussed last week, is tough. But today
He still hasn't landed, has
he
he?
still has not landed.
Yeah.
Today,
I guess negotiations are ongoing.
Tennessee got a little better with the addition of All-American infielder Billy Amick of Clemson.
File this one under. If you can't beat them, join them.
Well, he certainly didn't beat them, and he's certainly joined them.
Certainly
so I guess
joined
that
them.
would make sense.
Yeah. Hit 418 this season with 12 home runs, 58 RBI, 36 runs scored in just 43 games. Led the Tigers, who were ousted in their regional by Tennessee, with a slugging percentage of .778. 15 multiple RBI games on the year for Amick. And did not become a regular starter until mid-March. Hit a grand slam coming off the bench against Georgia State to give Clemson a 9-8 walk-off. And went into the starting lineup from that point, never came out. So got 2 years of eligibility remaining, and he becomes the 5th transfer into the Volunteers program, joining a couple of pitchers, Jacksonville State's A.J. Causey and Wichita State's Nate Snead, NC State catcher Cannon Peebles, and Wofford's Ryan Galani, Galani, Galanie. I don't know. But so,
Yeah, but wasn't that kid wasn't he like Southern Conference Pitcher of the Year or something?
not pitcher, he's an infielder.
Oh, and maybe
But
I thought I remembered seeing something about him being
he led the SoCon in hits and RBI
okay.
and scored 73 runs to tie a Terriers single season record. Amick, meanwhile, tabbed UT over Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Texas A&M after finishing his season as a first-team All-Atlantic Coast Conference selection.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, you search this kid's name on Twitter, and the Clemson fans are just nasty. I mean, nasty.
We're with you, win or tie, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty rough to kind of look through some of this stuff. You hate
And
to
he's
see
from
it.
South Carolina originally.
He is. So, yeah, I mean, this is a guy who has had a heck of a season, like you said, 13 homers, 63 ribbies, 2 stolen bases even. So, and obviously joins.
Well, I can see to some degree the frustration that Clemson fans may be feeling in this situation, because when it comes to baseball, Clemson kind of sees itself as a destination school.
They do. They pride themselves on baseball.
Understandably so. I mean, that's, for all of the success that the football program has had here of late, and they probably consider themselves a baseball school, and again, rightfully so. So they're not used to people leaving, particularly first-team all-conference players.
Well, Tennessee not so much either these days, and yet here we are.
Right.
That's just the world that we live in.
It
now.
really is.
Now-
Right, wrong, or otherwise, it's the world that we live in.
You said Ryan Galani, who will be a senior, plays first base and third base. Blake Burke set to return. first baseman. Infielder Christian Moore could return, who hit 304 this year. Now Billy Amick, who hit 382.
I would think he's probably slots in at shortstop for Maui Ahuna.
Probably. And then Kavaris Tears, who will probably end up being a DH.
I don't know, man. I can see him in center.
I mean, right now,
But I think
the only outfielders they have coming back are Hunter Inslee, Kyle Booker, and Reese Chapman. So, and Dylan Dreiling. So,
Dreiling played off and on over the course of this season. Inslee was starting in center at the end of the year. KT nursed some injuries over the course of this season, but we've talked to Wes Rucker on this show. We've talked to Ben McKee. We've talked to other folks. Everybody in Knoxville loves this kid. Now, obviously, we do. So, I'm looking forward to what he can do when he's healthy and in the lineup on a regular basis. You saw his final at bat in that LSU game where he nearly took one oppo against LSU to extend that game. It's warning track out, but looking forward to seeing what the former Columbia Academy standout continues to do up in Knoxville.
So of the transfers that Tennessee has acquired of just hitters, an average of 350 batting average, 446 on base percentage, and 59 home runs.
That'll play.
You think 59 home runs in Lindsey Nelson Stadium isn't going to play?
And I'm particularly excited, and I think UT fans are probably particularly excited about the catcher, Cannon Peebles from NC State. And as Wade and I mentioned, I'm not sure that there is a better name for a catcher than Cannon, but
maybe at right fielder. That's about it.
Yeah, but drove in 50 runs at North Carolina State this past year, second on the team with 12 home runs. At 50 runs was tied for the team lead, and hit 348 in ACC play. And I think that'll kind of stabilize a position where
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. No matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted.
Right. Well, we are looking forward to next season, and Tennessee baseball should be a lot of fun as they've got a ton of talent coming back, but also
and coming in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Also with a ton of talent. Joining us on Coach's Corner this week, presented by From the Heart Cafe out in Chapel Hill, Page football coach Charles Rathbone joins us. Coach, what's up?
Man, not a whole lot. How are you guys?
We're doing well, Coach. How's the dead period treating you?
Well, it's been a busy dead period for sure. Just dealing with a lot of things and, getting ready for next week. Been taking my vitamins, resting up, ready to get out in the sun and this heat.
Well, obviously, there was a big story that came down while you were on the grill Tuesday, I guess, for the 4th, as rising senior offensive lineman Ronan O'Connell committed to Clemson. Before he announced his commitment, what did you know about his plans?
He and I talked quite a bit over the last few weeks, and I knew that, I knew he was kind of weighing it out between UT and Clemson. Coach Ellerby and Coach Altizer at UT made it so tough on him, and he was, they really kept him in the loop, and it was just a tough decision. But he told me, I guess it was Friday night, Saturday night, what he was going to do. He texted me and said he's going to commit, and I told him congratulations, and he spent the next 3 or 4 days letting Clemson and Wisconsin and Tennessee know, and those guys were nothing but great to him, and wished him nothing but the best once he made his decision.
Coach, you were a former D2 All-American as an offensive guard up at Carson Newman. As you look at Ronan, what do you see in him that you like, particularly at that level?
Well, obviously he's got the measurables, and that's what all these schools want nowadays are the measurables. If you're not 6'4", 6'5", you're going to be one of those tweeners that, you really got to put it on film. So he has all the measurables that they want, but I personally love his intangibles. He's got that mean streak in him. He's a finisher. He's a team player. It's never about himself. It's always about the team and winning and doing what it's best for the team. And, if we ask him to go down and play guard or center, he'll go down and play guard and center. If we ask him to play defense, he'll play defense. So he's definitely 100% team oriented, and Clemson has a great young man as well as a great football player.
Where do you see him projecting at that level? I've seen references to him as an interior offensive lineman. I think he plays tackle for you guys, but where do you feel like he's going to settle in with those skills? What do you feel like his best spot is going to work out to be?
Well, I think early on he'll be interior. He's very, very athletic. He used to play rugby, and so he has the skills to be pulling guards, and he can learn center. So I think early on he'll settle in at an interior position on the O-line. But I think that was the draw from all these schools, was that he could play anywhere. In a crunch time, he could move out and play play a tackle. He's long enough to do that. So I could see him starting out interior and then moving to the outside once he gets a little bit more familiar with the college game.
Coach, sorry, Chris, but I'm going to cut you off just a second. A dual sports athlete. He's also a wrestler. How much has that benefited his progress, do you think, on the football field?
Well, you know, and he also used to play rugby, and he also throws shot and discus and track. But wrestling is definitely something that goes hand in hand with football. We got several guys that wrestle, and just learning the leverage of wrestling. And you know, I also think wrestling, one of the things that helps these kids a lot in wrestling is you can't blame a teammate, or you can't place blame on anybody else if you lose. You're one-on-one on the mat. So if you learn to not accept defeat, but accept that, hey, I made a mistake that cost me a match, then that helps you become a better leader on the football team when you have guys around you that are depending on you to do the right things and make a play.
Coach, we're going to clip that out, and we're going to send it to every wrestling and football coach in Middle Tennessee.
Okay. Sounds good.
That'll be the intro for the first takedown next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he's not the only talented guy that you got coming back when y'all get started back up next week. Coming off of back-to-back Class 5A state championship game appearances. What's this off season been like? What's this preseason going to be like? What is 2023 going to be like for Coach Rathbone and the Page Patriots?
Well, we're going to try to keep it as similar to the last couple of years as we can. You know, we've had a lot of success. We played in 30 games, and not many teams can say that. So we want it to be very, very similar. We're ready to get back on the field and get away from, you know, what happened last year and the year before, and start, you know, moving towards what's going to happen this year. You know, obviously we've got a tough road ahead of us, and not a whole lot of teams, unless you're in Alcoa or in Oakland, get back, you know, twice in a row, much less 3 times. So it's a challenge. And, you know, that's the challenge we're going to put in front of our kids is, you know, can you do it a third time? And this time, can you finish? And, you know, I think we got the guys that will compete, and they're going to give us everything they got in high school football. If you can get guys playing hard and competing every play and giving it their all, then it obviously makes you a tough out. Obviously, with some of the teams that moved down from 6A with Beach and Hendersonville and Centennial, you know, the West has become stronger. And, you know, we just got to be ready on our A game every single week and play hard and execute and let the chips fall.
That's one thing I was going to ask you is, you know, you guys have kind of been able to play close to home, obviously, in the last couple of years. But, you know, getting Centennial back and some of these other schools, you know, you guys have the ability to play some really tough competition, and you hope that prepares you for November and early December. What does that schedule look like for you guys this year to get you prepared for the playoffs?
Well, you know, every year is different. You don't know who's going to be good, who's not going to be good. You know, last year Nolensville was a really good team. We're excited about playing Giles to start off. You know, they always have athletes and well coached and are a physical team and a tough out. And then of course you add Indy and Franklin and Coffee County, who went, I believe, to the 3rd round last year before Oakland put them out. So we're playing some 6A teams, and hopefully we could compete with them. And, you know, I also like to play guys that I've kind of have relationships with over the years. And Coach Green at Coffee County is one of them, and Coach O'Connor at Giles County. So we're just we're excited to see what Centennial brings to the region. We're going to be now in the they split Nashville again. So we're going to be kind of half Nashville, Centennial, and Nolensville's in there with us. So, you know, I think it's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be a fun challenge, a good challenge, and at least an exciting challenge. So we'll have to see what week to week brings for us.
Charles Rathbone, coach of 2-time defending Class 5A state runner-up Paige, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe over in Chapel Hill. Be sure and check out Renee Hart and the fine folks over there as you're headed to Henry Horton as you finish up the dead period. Coach, we talked about the talent on that roster, the talent in that program that you've got. You've had a couple of really stellar quarterbacks over the last couple of years. Obviously, Jake McNamara 2 years ago, Colin Hurd this past fall. What happens at quarterback for you guys this time around?
Well, I mean, we got two guys that we feel confident in, Jonathan Palmer and William Weebush. And, Weebush is more your athletic, your runner, the guy that could do everything. And Palmer is more of your pocket guy. He can run if he needs to be, but he's more of your pocket, throw the ball down the field, and good arm. Both very smart players. So, that's going to be a battle in camp for us to see what happens. And, until we get that sorted out, we'll have to lean heavily on that offensive line and our running game to figure out what gives us the best chance of winning. So, I mean, those two guys are going to compete for it, and we're excited to see what happens between them. They both look good so far in 7-on-7 in the month of June. So we'll just we'll see what happens when we get back in the pads.
Well, getting back into, practice, obviously with conditioning and whatnot, getting these guys ready starting next week. We're only, a month, 5 weeks away. I mean, it just doesn't. It seems like football season comes and goes so fast, but it also gets back quickly. What does July look like for your squad?
Well, we scrimmage 3 weeks from tomorrow is our first scrimmage. So next week it's kind of like just an extension of June, and then the following week is the heat acclimation where you have to go the first 2 days in helmets, which I've never really understand since you've been with helmets all of June and the week before. But the first 2 days are in helmets, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday you're in shells, shoulder pads, and the following week we're in full pads and scrimmaging. So it's on us. We're about to go into our maintain phase in the weight room and go from there. And it's exciting. It's it's hot outside, but these kids have been preparing, and we've been preaching the nutrition and hydration, and hopefully they're ready when it comes time week after next.
Coach, I'm a Franklin native, and I remember when, guys were talking about going to Page football practice after they've been out hauling hay and that kind of thing. I'm not sure how much of an issue that is for you now with the way that area has developed out there with the $500,000 houses right behind the football stadium and that kind of thing. But, you talk about the heat. I saw some articles and some social media fodder heading into the dead period. Not everybody's a fan of the dead period, and I don't really understand why, because it's something that everybody observes. Nobody's falling behind. Nobody's getting ahead of anybody else over the dead period. What are your thoughts with regards to the dead period? Would you like to see it gone? Are you glad they have it? Do you have any prevailing thoughts either way on it?
Well, I wish we still had some of those country boy hay haulers that you talk about. We don't have many of those anymore. I got the oldest truck on the campus, that's for sure. But, for me, I'm personally a big fan of the dead period. It forces the coaches to get away. We're big. I'm big on family. I want our coaches to experience time with their family. I want our kids to experience time with their family, and that forces us to do that. It gives me time off, because if the TWA didn't mandate it, then I would be at school at least 3 or 4 times a week, practicing or lifting weights or doing something. So I appreciate the little break from TWSAA. I'm not sure why anybody would be against it. I do wish they would let us throw a little bit more in June before the dead period. That's when the colleges seem to have their 7-on-7. So it would be nice to take some of these kids to these colleges and let them throw in front of these coaches. But as far as the dead period, I'm a big fan, and I like it. I like the time away from the school and being with the family.
There you go. Coach, we are certainly looking forward to high school football season. I know you are too, and we appreciate you taking some time with us today. Congratulations to the young folks that you've got over there on their back-to-back seasons, and looking forward to another great year of Page Patriot football.
Yeah, I hope it's another great one. We'll see. We'll see soon enough. So we're going to work for it to be, that's for sure.
Thank you for taking time with us, man. We'll certainly catch up with you before football season starts.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Coach.
Here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, we are taking you from preps to pros, and that's just part of it. Coach's Corner is presented by From the Heart Cafe out in Chapel Hill. Make sure to go see Renee Hart. The fine folks, if you're on your way to or from Henry Horton, if you're going to the Harry Potter Festival in a couple of weeks, make sure to go see her on the way out there. So we've got a lot more to talk about. Before we get to a break, because we're going to talk about baseball, I saw a story as I was scrolling through Twitter, as I am wont to do. First of all, there's a staff writer at ESPN named Ben Baby, which is a fantastic name.
Yeah, he covers Texas, right?
Right now, he's writing about Corey Dillon.
Corey Dillon, the former
Bengal.
Cincinnati Bengals? Okay.
And
I think
maybe,
he covered Texas at one time. I've seen that name for quite some time, but go ahead.
and maybe forever former Bengal Corey Dillon, because he's not real happy.
Corey Dillon's not real happy?
Yeah. The Bengals' all-time leading rusher, who once famously said he'd flip burgers during a contract dispute with the club, took shots at how the team honors its former players. In an interview with The Athletic that they published today, Dillon didn't hold back, saying that it was garbage and the selection should be done directly by the front office or a special committee rather than season ticket holders and suite holders. It's not a popularity contest, Dillon said. This is football. You're going to put somebody in the Ring of Honor who is more popular rather than somebody who got stats. This is a guy who is a 3-time Pro Bowler, ran for 1,000 yards 3 different times, and is the all-time leading rusher in Cincinnati Bengal history.
So I've pulled up the article, as you probably understood by my stance over here. Corey, what do you want me to do with this? Do you want your voice out there? Man, you can quote me word for word, print it, because nobody gets this. I want it exactly how I told you. No spins, no nothing. Corey's hot. And this isn't even what Ben Baby, I'm sorry. This is Paul Dehner on The Athletic.
Right.
Yeah. This isn't even what Paul Dehner Jr. called Corey Dillon about. He was calling him about something else, and it got to the Ring of Honor, the Hall of Fame, and as Dehner puts it, the inexplicable way Corey thinks his career has been viewed. So,
Listen, Corey Dillon was the only good thing Cincinnati had for a long time. So I can certainly understand him wanting 28 in the rafters.
One of just 6 running backs in the Super Bowl era with at least 4 seasons of 1,100 rushing yards and 4.6 yards per carry. Only Barry Sanders and, is this Fred Taylor? Yeah. Have more, 7 each. Only 16 of his first 84 starts featured a quarterback with even an average passing rating. Corey Dillon's quarterbacks were John Kitna, Jeff Blake, Akili Smith, Neil O'Donnell, Boomer Esiason, Scott Mitchell, Paul Justin, and Gus Frerotte.
Gus Frerotte.
You remember Gus Frerotte?
I do remember Gus
Frerotte. The
Frerotte.
Washington Redskins, then
Listen,
breaking his neck, hitting his head against the goalpost, right, or against the wall.
I can tell you, Gus Frerotte was one of those names that I'll never forget. But so right now, the Bengals have 6 members in the Ring of Honor that they instituted in 2021. They didn't even have one until 21. And
so Anthony Munoz and who else?
Exactly. Paul Brown, team founder. All right. Quarterback
Ken Anderson.
Okay. Ken Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac Curtis,
Mm-hmm.
and Willie Anderson.
Well, I will say this.
All of
If
those
you're only
deserve to
going to
be there.
have 6, those are the 6. Because, I mean, Ken Riley was the man on the defensive side of the ball for Cincinnati for a long time. And Isaac Curtis and Ken Anderson, yeah. So
it's a great list, but
it's a little short.
But again, 2021. How many folks you want to put up there?
Right.
You know, you got to save some.
Yeah.
Now,
and when you're catching up.
That being said, after this interview, he's probably not wrong when he said, I'm pretty sure they'll put blanking John Kitna in before they put me. Matter of fact, Scott Mitchell will end up in that before I do. And so I found this story and I found it just fascinating because, again, Corey Dillon was a great running back. The only good thing that they had going for a long, long time.
And then he went to the Patriots and won a Super Bowl in 2004, rushing for 1,635 yards and earning the nickname Clock Killing Corey Dillon.
Hey, that's a great nickname.
It is. Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting, and I wanted to get your take on Corey Dillon. Corey Dillon, Ring of Honor or no? I think
Absolutely.
So. I think so. But now if you put him in there, it looks like you're pandering to his
and
rapping.
that's the tough thing. If folks can get over that and recognize what he's done, whether they can or whether they're going to say, well, no, we're not going to let him hold us over a barrel or whatever and make us put him in. So, it will be interesting to see how this plays out.
He makes it.
But I mean, his career speaks for itself.
Yeah, no question. All right, we can take that break now. Justin, when we come back, we'll talk Braves, get you this day in Braves history, and much, much more on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back to the Lee Company studio right after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park, each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
July 6, 1970, Felix Milan goes 6 for 6 with a double and a triple, a pair of runs scored and 4 RBIs as Atlanta downed the visiting Giants 12-4. With the performance, the Cat, Felix the Cat, get it?
Of course.
There we go. Became the first player in Braves history to rack up 6 hits in a game. Atlanta had 17 hits in the victory, despite Sonny Jackson, Mike Lum, and Hank Aaron each going 0 for 4. That was this day in Braves history.
Braves win.
Braves win.
Hank Aaron goes 0 for 4. That didn't happen very often.
No.
Those are two things that were almost mutually exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine how many times they won a game without at least one hit from Hank Aaron, especially once they got to Atlanta.
Yeah, once they were in Atlanta, it was almost a different world.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. Wow, Felix the Cat. I like it. Wow. Yesterday, Atlanta tied the Major League Baseball, American League, National League, whatever they call it, record for most home runs in a season.
I don't know why they said tied the NL/AL record. I don't know why they didn't
guess
just...
they even included when the two were split before there was a merger, I guess.
I don't know. It's odd. It was odd the way they put that. But yeah, with 163 home runs.
Yes, they
tied the record of 163,
which is the most home runs hit in a season before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And this is actually a fairly early All-Star break. Usually it's next week or week after maybe. So this is interesting.
And they still got 3 more games. They could really put this.
Yeah, they could shatter that record. And of course, those 3 games are at Tropicana in Tampa Bay against the second best team in baseball. Can you remember, outside of last year's Mets series, can you remember a series you were more excited about before the All-Star break than this one that's coming up?
No. I mean,
and outside of the Mets series, I'm not sure that there's one that I can remember ever being so exciting and important.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider the start that Tampa Bay got off to and the way they've played basically all year, I mean, they've cooled off. You kind of felt like they were going to, but there for a while, you wondered if they actually were. They're 57-32 right now. Do they play tonight?
I don't think
they
so.
do.
Oh, they do?
They play at Chicago.
That's right.
Here in about an hour and a half. So they're finishing up a series there before they get home. No, wait a minute. I'm looking at the Blue Jays. No, the Rays play at home against Philly tonight at 5:40. I'm sorry. So they play at home tonight against Philadelphia. Meanwhile, the Braves are off today. Traveled last night. And so they're just sitting in Tampa chilling.
Did you see what Blooper tweeted last night?
No.
He said, it's time to do the best thing you can do in Ohio. Leave. It's absolutely.
That's brutal.
Blooper is.
That's
absolutely brutal.
That's brutal.
When it comes to
everything.
Well, yes, but Ohio particularly. I mean, this is a guy who he's got more Ohio jokes.
I wonder if he's from Michigan originally.
That's a really good question. But it was he said, it's time to do the best thing you can do in Ohio. Leave. And so I thought, that is phenomenal right there. But yeah, the Rays are at home. Braves obviously have the day off, and they line up pretty well. Morton, Strider, and Elder will go against Glasnow, Bradley,
Todd's Bradley,
and Eflin. So,
former Philly, Zach Eflin.
So we'll see how that goes.
Not Elfin.
No. Zach Elfin.
Yeah.
Elfin Eflin. Who is, having a great year. 100 strikeouts already. Has a 1.0 whip. This is going to be a great series. It lines up with the best pitching matchups you can hope for if you're the Braves. And I'm just looking forward to this series. I really am.
It's going to be fun.
Obviously had a great series in Cleveland. Get out of there yesterday with that 8-1 win.
and didn't give up the one run until the 9th, I think, off of Nick Heller.
And
Michael Tonkin coming out of the pen. It was, I hated that Michael Soroka was not able to get through the 5th. He came out after 4 2/3 shutout innings, but was in a little trouble. Well, he was in a little trouble all game, basically.
Yeah, but you know, and this is what I was curious about, because you feel like Michael Soroka is still getting used to the major league level. They're still trying to stretch him out at the major league level, but he's going to have some stressful innings because it's Major League Baseball.
Well, he's going to have some stressful innings, but they can't all be stressful. And that was what happened yesterday. I mean, he was pitching with not just with runners on, but he was pitching with runners in scoring position pretty much all game. And that really ran its pitch count up. I mean, he was right at 100 pitches when he finally came out at 4 2/3. And, you know, Ozzie made a costly error, I think, in the 4th that extended him. And I think of the first 8 runners Cleveland stranded, they stranded 2 runners in each of the first 4 innings, and 7 of those were in scoring position. So, I mean, he threw a lot of pitches. He threw a lot of, you know, high leverage, high stress pitches. And as he's continuing to make his way back, he's got to become a little bit more economical. He's got to not pitch in stress as much as he has. I mean, he finally got that first win against Miami on Friday night, first win since before the injury back in 2020, and, you know, was really trending well in spite of all of the traffic that he had all game yesterday, and just couldn't get through the 5th. And I know that Snitker and Kranitz wanted to get him through 5 and try to get him in position, especially with it being a 5-0 ball game, to get that win, and just couldn't quite work it out.
But again, he's going to have some of those issues. And yeah, he needs to get better, but he's going to get better. And the only way for him to continue to get better is to be up there.
Yep.
He's got to take the ball at the major league level every 5 days and just do it.
Now,
we're going to have to take some growing pains.
Here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if he gets optioned back out over the break so that he can pitch on his normal day's rest, because, you know, obviously the break, they'll probably reset the rotation, and he'd probably be toward the back of it. And I just wonder if he's not going to go back down to Gwinnett and make a start to stay on his normal rest and then come back up. I think that'll be something worth watching as this Tampa Bay series progresses.
Here's the problem with bringing him back. You are most likely going to have
Freed?
No, the other one.
Right.
Kyle Wright. Kyle Wright's been throwing.
I didn't know Wright had been throwing. I know that Freed threw a couple of bullpens earlier this week, and they said that he was close to a rehab assignment. I didn't realize that Wright was throwing. I don't think Wright is throwing.
Maybe it was Freed that I read then. I thought it was Wright, but one of the two.
Reed, I mean, Max Fried has definitely thrown in the last week.
Well, I mean, that may be, and see, here's the thing is, you know, they're off for All-Star break too. They only have the 3 games set Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if they do take him down, he's got to throw one of those 3 to stay on track. So I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting situation that the Braves find themselves in, because would you rather have Michael Soroka or Max Fried throwing against Memphis? You know, is Max going to take that, or do they have him wait until the Norfolk series, which is in Gwinnett, and just let him stay at home? Why take him to Memphis for one day? I don't know. The Braves are in an interesting situation here.
From batterypower.com on yesterday. Max Fried through his second live batting practice session on Tuesday, and per report, all went well. A rehab assignment seems to be in the near future.
Okay.
Seeing nothing to this point on Wright. I think he's further away.
Okay.
But and I was thinking about this as I was driving down here this morning. Everybody talks, you look at the NL East standings, and the Mets are in fourth place. They're 18 games out of the lead. And all you hear is the injuries that the Mets have had. And obviously they lost Edwin Diaz in the World Baseball Classic with that knee injury.
I don't think
the
that's
Braves are missing the Cy Young Award runner-up from 2022, the only 20-game winner in 2022, and they're 30 games over 500.
Yeah, don't come at me talking about injuries.
No.
You're not going to get much empathy from me on that particular aspect. You're just not. So, hey, I'm pumped. I mean, I think this is exactly what you want if you are the Braves.
So let me ask you this.
Sorry.
Stop it. How many games does Atlanta have to win at Tampa Bay for this to be a successful series?
Do they have to win one? Can't get swept. I think 2 of 3 is a
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Welcome back to Today's Better Health. I'm Colleen Barton, and I'm here with Dr. Gil Kentoff and Dr. Wendy Toohey, and we're talking about the latest treatments in back and neck pain.
Many people, Colleen, come to see us with neck and back pain, and they develop tingling and numbness down the arm or lower back pain that develops into sciatica shooting down their leg. And for these patients, we have an advanced treatment technology, non-surgical decompression therapy, that we really introduce to this area. It separates the vertebrae and creates a suction to allow fluids and nutrients back in to heal the disc naturally, relieving pressure on the nerve and on the joint. It's an amazing treatment.
We've been helping patients like this for the last 30 years, helping them get back to work, get back to their family, get back to the life they want to live.
I mean, it really is amazing. Technology helping us to live pain-free and better lives. Right. And I bet you have a special offer.
The first 25 callers will receive an examination, x-rays, review of our findings, and their first treatment, all for $39.
Call 615-551-3897 today to receive this special offer.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
I don't even know if there's any audio coming through. That's the other one. I think it is. David, can you hear us? Nod your head if yes.
No, clearly not.
Okay.
No nod.
No nod. Let's do a.
Take a quick word.
Can you do that 1 minute promo?
This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Technical difficulties. Can you hear us now?
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you twice.
Yeah, that's an issue we're gonna have to deal with right now. Mo, we've had a heck of a show.
Yeah, surprisingly so.
So let's just keep it going, and we will bring in David COBB of CBS Sports Network to talk a little bit about the Memphis Grizzlies and whatever else we can get out of him.
There we go. Last time we tried to get David, he was either on the golf course or headed to the golf course. And it looks like that might have been the case today. You been out here, David?
Hey, I haven't been yet, but I might be going later. I'm actually passing through Memphis right now. And, well, y'all know you're in Tennessee. It's just so humid. Like, you just can't do it in the afternoon. You got to wait until it cools down a little bit. But I'll probably find my way to the driving range here in a little bit.
There you go. There you go. Well, hey, we appreciate you taking some time with us. So I reached out to you in what I thought was your capacity as NBA writer. Have you changed assignments on me again?
Well, so I've been with CBS for about 3 years, and I primarily cover college football and basketball. But I was the Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal in Memphis before that. And so because I covered the Grizzlies previously, I do help out with our NBA draft coverage and whatnot. So, and prior to that, I covered University of Tennessee athletics for the Chattanooga Times Free Press. So, I mean, Grizzlies, Vols, national college basketball, college football, I keep track of all of it. I can talk Grizzlies all day. I can talk Vols. I can talk national stuff, whatever you guys want to.
What do you like best? Which is a question a lot of people ask me. What do you most enjoy covering / talking about?
I think college basketball. So I grew up in Memphis, and y'all know it's a huge basketball city, right? But the world revolves around basketball here in Memphis, and so that's kind of how the environment I was raised in. Granted, I grew up a huge college football fan too. From a media standpoint, though, there's so many more college football writers and college football personalities. They're a dime a dozen, right? And there's plenty of great college basketball personalities too, but not nearly as many as there are on the football side. So I can write something in college basketball that hasn't already been written by 5 other outlets, right? So that's kind of one thing I like about the college basketball side of things is that in the NBA and college football, there's so much content out there already. And college basketball, there's more room to stand out because the season is shorter. There's just not as much coverage as there are in some of those other sports. So it's an opportunity to, do some different things and be a little bit more of a larger voice within the sport, I suppose.
Okay. Well, as I said, we reached out to you primarily to talk a little Grizzlies, but, a couple of weeks ago, I guess, the NCAA's IAPR handed down their sanctions against Memphis for their transgressions from a couple of years ago related to James Wiseman. At the time, I don't believe Memphis had completed or had released its basketball schedule. So we figured that Memphis's first 3 games for which Penny Hardaway is going to be suspended would probably be, Lemoyne Owen and Delta State and somebody else. I mean, have we seen that schedule since? Do we know?
It's
going to miss.
Yeah, I've seen those 3 games. 2 of them are cupcakes, and then the other one I think is either Auburn or Alabama. There's one good game in there, so they're going to win 2 of them without a doubt, and then they've got one. And the thing with Memphis now that y'all got to remember is they have to perform well in the non-conference if they want to have any hope of getting an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament, because the AAC is such a poor basketball conference, and it's getting even worse now that Houston is leaving for the Big 12. They have to win those games in November and December if they want to be an at-large team. So he is going to miss one game of significance. I can't remember if it was Auburn, Alabama, Arkansas. One of those teams is on their schedule in those first 3. The other 2 total cupcakes. But it's not considering how bad things looked initially with the Wiseman stuff. This is a slap on the wrist, but there is the one against a good team where they are really going to miss him and they're going to need to win that game.
David Cobb of CBS Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, talking a little Memphis area athletics. And David, the Grizzlies made a move earlier this week that, Chris, you and I kind of speculated at a little bit 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually.
We did, in fact.
What do you think of the Grizzlies signing Derrick Rose in light of the makeup of that roster and the availability of certain people on it?
I think it's great. I mean, this franchise has needed some veteran presence in the locker room for a while now. John Morant's rookie season, they began that year with Jay Crowder and Solomon Hill as the veteran voices in the locker room. And I was on the beat at that time, and it was very evident how much respect those 2 guys commanded in the locker room from guys like John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. And they moved away from that. They got rid of the veterans. They loaded up with young, quality, developing players, which is what you need to do to build a franchise. But there comes a point in time, and that's been very obvious over these last couple of years with these Grizzlies, that you got to have that older, more mature voice of reason in the locker room. And Derrick Rose can be that, and he doesn't need to play a minute to be that. Now, they're going to want to get something out of him with Ja Morant missing the first 25 games of the season due to suspension. But even if he's not a rotation player after Ja comes back, his mere presence in the locker room as a 14-year NBA vet, multi-time All-Star, a guy who Ja Morant has been compared to many times, just his presence within that Grizzlies locker room is going to be worth a lot. So, yeah, I know there's some Grizzlies fans out there that are like, whoa, we could have used this 15th roster spot on a more useful player. Guys, they have that roster stocked with high-value depth players. They're still deeper than almost any team in the league. They can afford to bring in a veteran who's not going to give them a whole lot. And I think the Derrick Rose acquisition is wonderful.
We've said that so many times.
He made a statement in that, though, that just really is sobering. 14-year veteran, Derrick Rose. I mean,
yeah.
if that doesn't make you feel old, I don't know what will. But, I mean, as you said, he doesn't necessarily have to contribute on the floor for this team. Do you think he can get in Ja's ear and maybe convey the degree with which Ja is really screwing up right now? and I use that term screwing up loosely. Can he get Ja's attention?
I think so, because this is a man who has walked the path Ja Morant is currently on, a prized early draft pick who had the hopes of a franchise on his back. Now, the Bulls also had Joakim Noah and, oh gosh, I can't even remember who all else, Luol Deng, but Derrick Rose was the star player of those Bulls when he was first drafted after his only season at Memphis. He was one of the young faces of the league, an electric point guard who plays very similarly to how Ja Morant plays. So I think Ja Morant grew up watching Derrick Rose and understanding that he was modeling his game really after a couple of players, Russell Westbrook, one of them, Derrick Rose was another. And so I think that in and of itself gives Ja Morant somebody who he can relate to. And we heard of Steven Adams, trying to be this veteran voice in the locker room last season and trying to kind of lay the law down about, hey, guys, we shouldn't be going out as much. We should maybe party a little less, hydrate a little more, right? But, Steven Adams is a big guy. He's an Australian guy, right? He's kind of known more for being goofy than he is for being a put your foot down and, hey, this is the way things are sort of veteran. Derrick Rose, I think, is somebody that naturally Ja Morant and, for that matter, Desmond Bane will respond to. And the other guy who they're bringing in at the point guard position as well is Marcus Smart from Boston. So, they're losing Tyus Jones, but they're bringing in Marcus Smart, who I think is a good fit in Memphis with his defensive mentality. And he's a guy who's been around the block a time or two as well. So, I think this is good. There will be other voices in the locker room now. It won't just be Ja Morant's team anymore. And I think that's okay. I think it'll be nice to have some of that pressure taken off of Ja's shoulders and for Derrick Rose to have some of that media attention on his shoulders around town, and for Marcus Smart to be somebody who gets a lot of questions after the game. And it won't just be all on Ja Morant as it has been for the last couple of seasons.
David Cobb of CBS Sports joining us here. David, it's been a pretty exciting offseason if you're a Grizzlies fan. Marcus Smart coming in from Boston, get G.G. Jackson and pick 45. You've, of course, got the Bane extension and now Derrick Rose. Do you feel like this has been an offseason where the Grizzlies have been able, at least right now, from our perspective, taking that next step?
I think so, because I like the Smart acquisition for this reason. When it came to playoff time, Tyus Jones struggled to be as productive for the Grizzlies as the backup point guard as he often was during the regular season. During the regular season, he was great. Anytime Ja Morant missed time due to injury or what have you, Tyus Jones held down the starting point guard without any problem, and the Grizzlies were actually above 500 without Ja Morant. However, when playoff time came around, Tyus as an undersized point guard without a ton of defensive value was exposed a little bit. And I think the Marcus Smart acquisition gives the Grizzlies another tough, tested veteran guard that they can deploy in the playoffs, which is something that they've kind of been missing here lately. So the one thing I would still like to see them go out and add is just another rough and tumble, old school bench big man. Because when Steven Adams was out, Anthony Davis just ate their lunch in the playoffs. So that's the one thing that like I could see them needing to address. And they don't even have to do it before the season. I think they should do it before the playoffs come around next year, though, because if Steven Adams fouls out or gets hurt and you're up against a really big, bruising, old school big guy, you're going to be in trouble again. So that's one hole that I still see. Steven Adams, obviously, we expect him back and healthy. But that's maybe the one thing I still have a question about from the Grizzlies standpoint is, all right, what's the plan if Steven Adams isn't available? Because they got exposed in that regard last season.
No question there. We talked about it ad nauseum, it felt like.
Ad nauseum, yeah. David, again, we opened this segment talking about Memphis, University of Memphis, basketball and the importance of their non-conference schedule given the current composition of the AAC. College athletics are ever shifting these days with realignment and that kind of thing. Do you see Memphis getting anywhere? I know they wanted to go Big 12 and for whatever reason they weren't able to make it happen. Are they just stuck in the AAC for now?
Hey, they're doing their best. Memphis is doing its best to strut their stuff. They're touting the multi-million-dollar renovations that will be made to the Liberty Bowl Stadium. They are talking up a big game about the new academic research tiers that they've reached. They're doing their best to escape the AAC. As of this moment, the only hope that I see, though, for Memphis to get out of the group of five is if the Big 12 misses on some of these Pac-12 schools that might be looking to leave. So if the Pac-12 comes up with a media rights deal that is good enough to keep its league in place, the Big 12 might decide they still want to expand, in which case Memphis would be a sensible option. But if the Pac-12 falls apart, as we think it might, due to the fact that their media rights negotiations are going very poorly, then I think we're going to see the Big 12 get its fix from some of those leftover Pac-12 schools. But yeah, so if you're a Memphis fan and you want to see your team get into the Big 12, you need to be rooting for the Pac-12 to have a really good media rights deal, because you want the Pac-12 to stay together so that the Big 12 will have to go look elsewhere. And if they do, I mean, Memphis makes sense. It's a quality basketball program that's been to a bowl game in football for 8 or 9 years in a row now, which is not something you would have said really at any other point in the athletic department's history in terms of them having both those sports at a good level simultaneously. So I think Memphis would be relatively attractive. But if the Big 12 can go out and get Arizona or Colorado, that's going to be their priority.
Sure. Of course, right now the Pac-12 is in shambles, as well as San Diego State and all the things that go along with that. We've talked about that on this show for 3 weeks. I've talked more about San Diego State in the last 3 weeks than I thought I would ever talk about them in my life. And it has been insane. So it's only gonna get weirder from here. And college football and college basketball as a whole is only gonna get weirder. And I mean, this has got to be the most unique situation that you've ever seen in the landscape of college football and basketball.
Well, I think, too, we forget that the on-field and on-court ramifications have yet to be seen. Like, we still got 1 year left of things as they were with Texas and Oklahoma and with USC and UCLA. So we haven't even seen the tangible results of all this realignment. And I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of remorse. We could see it pretty soon with the AAC schools that are going to the Big 12. Take Cincinnati, for example. They lose Luke Fickell, and now they're going to the 12. I think in November, Cincinnati fans are going to be saying, now, wait a second. Why did we want to leave the AAC again? Because I think there's a pretty good chance that the Cincinnati football season could be pretty rough, and that this could be a 4 or a 5 win season for Cincinnati. And if you go and ask Chip Kelly at UCLA, Lincoln Riley at USC, you go and ask the coaching staffs at Texas and Oklahoma, the coaches, I'm not talking about the athletic directors, the coaches who have to win games to meet their contract incentives and get their bonuses and keep their jobs and sign recruits. They have to win games. Yeah, it's going to be harder for them to win games when they get into these new leagues. The SEC and the Big Ten are much tougher than the Big 12 and the Pac-12. And so I know the athletic departments are excited about it because they're going to get more TV money. But the coaches and the fans, I don't know what they have to gain here because they're going to lose more. And more losing is less fun when you're a coach or a fan.
So you're telling me that you don't think Brent Venables is excited about coming to the SEC?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, it's the Oklahoma. There's a chance they could just become a middle of the pack SEC team. I know that's kind of tough to hear if you're an Oklahoma fan, but it's the reality. If they stayed in the Big 12, they could be a shoe-in for a 12-team playoff almost every year. Now they're going to the SEC. They're going to have to fight and scratch and claw to be one of those 12 teams to get into the playoff. So they're going to get those. I don't know how much, what's the trade-off? What's the trade-off for that money that you get?
Yeah, exactly. Here's the question I have for you then, David. Who wins a conference title first? Is it USC or UCLA or Texas, Oklahoma?
A conference title?
A conference title.
I think Texas jumps out to me as a team that has a chance. If they can thread the needle of Nick Saban, his retirement window looming, right?
That's what we said 5 years ago, David.
I know. I just really believe that for USC in particular, there's going to be a bit of a rude awakening on the line of scrimmage. Texas, from a talent standpoint, is already there on the offensive line, the way they've recruited. Granted, it hasn't manifested into wins for them in the Big 12. So, I honestly, guys, it could be a long time before any of those teams win the Big 10 or the SEC because it's going to be tough. The one exception that comes to mind, right, is Missouri won the SEC East 2 years in a row after they jumped from the Big 12.
Yeah, Georgia and Tennessee were in the worst years of their history.
Yes, exactly. So more often than not, the realignment leads to some down seasons. So it could be 5 or 6 years really before we see one of those new teams win their league.
David Cobb of CBS Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. David, having said all of that, do you think this situation ever gets to a point where it gets reversed?
No, once the cat is out of the bag and those athletic departments get used to the revenue, it's done. It's over. Money rules college sports, and the Big Ten and the SEC have so much of it now that we're never going back to the regionalized, rivalry-based, geographically sensible college sports landscape that we once knew. And I hate that. As somebody who grew up watching Mississippi State against Vanderbilt on Jefferson Pilot Sports every Saturday morning, that's kind of a tough reality to grapple with. But no, I think the closest thing that you're going to get to the pure old school way things used to be college athletics is to find your local D3 school and buy a season ticket package for them, because the D1 landscape is getting away from us in terms of what we've known for most of the 90s and early 2000s. We're headed into something that is foreign versus the college sports that we have known for the last quarter century.
Does Rhodes play football?
Great seats available at Rhodes College. You see the links, huh?
That's right. Rhodes versus Sewanee, one of the best, longest standing rivalries in college football right there.
There you go.
That's funny. I was thinking, I was like, does Rhodes play football? I know they play basketball. We played against them, but I didn't know about football.
Rhodes does play football.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You're in the game there, man. It is an ever-changing landscape in college sports, obviously, and for the Memphis Grizzlies, as we talked about it with you earlier, David. Just an exciting time to be a Grizzlies fan. You got to think, but
is there a new Grizzlies logo or what?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Hey, now maybe y'all are privy to some information that I'm not. But
so the logo that they put on the graphic welcoming Derrick Rose home is not the bear head logo. And so I'm just trying to figure out what's up here because and I wish I could pull it up, but I can't. But it's kind of old school ish. David, it's the squatting bear with the ball in the right hand.
Yeah. Well, if I had to guess, I would say they had a summer intern in charge of printing up the welcome flyer, the welcome poster for Derrick Rose, and maybe there was a mishap there because that would be an awfully strange way to reveal a new marketing scheme.
Look up.
But hey, you know what? Derrick Rose has been around so long. Maybe they just wanted to harken back to the old days, right?
There you go.
I will say the Grizzlies do have some pretty sweet old school stuff from the Vancouver days. But man, I have not seen anything to suggest they're making a move. I'm going to stick with my summer intern theory.
It could be worse, I guess. It could be the Montana Grizzlies, as we saw not long ago. That's the gear that showed up down at the Walmart in South Haven or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I do see that. That's interesting. That's like a mix of the old logo and the new one. Yeah, that's hey, I'm here for it. Actually, that's not bad looking. It's just kind of funky. But yeah, to your point, Mo, I guess it was down in Olive Branch, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Whoever is in charge of ordering the Memphis Grizzlies merchandise, they must have just typed in Grizzlies to the computer.
Grizzlies.
And yeah, and there's an entire section of Montana Grizzlies stuff there at that store now, which I feel pretty certain you can probably find at about 80% off if you go down there right now.
Hey, big fan of the Grizz. I was a big fan of the Grizz, and they got some good stuff, but it's not exactly the same thing. So, but no, I'm looking forward. I think this is going to be an exciting year for the Grizzlies, although hoping for expansion so that Memphis can move to the East. That's all I'm saying.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no joke. I mean, you think, hey, they've improved. They've gotten better. So is everybody else in the West. We'll see where Damian Lillard ends up, right? Like, hopefully he goes to the East. But, golly, yeah, you're right. Which is east of the Mississippi River, barely, to be playing in the East.
Yeah. David, thanks so much for taking time with us, man. We really appreciate you. You have been fantastic and so gracious to spend a little extra time with us, man.
Hey, no problem. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
No doubt. All right, we are under a minute away from saying so long and farewell, so we will do that on Main Street Sports today. Thank you guys for hanging out with us throughout the technical difficulties. We've had some issues today, but we'll get those worked out as we always do. Once again, this is Main Street Sports today from the Lee Company studio, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We will see you guys back here at 2 o'clock tomorrow.